Hi, welcome to Citizen Survival Plan and welcome back if you've been here before. In today's video, we are going to be taking a look at the AGM Wolf-14. Before I start, this is the new model. This is not the old model you see a ton of reviews on. AGM sort of quietly updated the Wolf-14 and never told anybody. And it has different mounts and it's smaller and lighter than an actual PVS-14, unlike what you've seen before, the bigger, older model. So let's just get right into it. We'll take a look at this thing. Okay, so let's take a look at the AGM Wolf-14. This is the NW one, so it's a level 1 tube, Gen 2 Plus, and it's in white Phos. So not green. Let's open this up. We'll see everything that's inside of it. Comes with a manual. And it comes with a spec sheet that we're going to get into a little bit later. The package also includes this little bag. There is a little rubber eye cup in here, which I basically remove right away. I never use that on either the PVS-14 or the Wolf-14. There's the manual, and here is everything in the box. So this is a good value proposition for somebody who's just getting started in night vision or is on a budget. You don't have to go out of your way and find mounts and everything. All of this is included in the box. It even comes with a battery. So let's take everything out. Let's get the box out of our way and take a look at this unit. This is a nice small unit. It is actually smaller than a real PVS-14 and is lighter. This thing weighs 10.2 ounces. As compared with the PVS-14, and I will put the weight of the PVS-14 on the screen here. So I want to do a quick weight comparison. I want to talk about something else really quickly. Because this is an overall lighter package with the mount and everything, it allows you to actually remove some counterweights from your helmet. So not only are you removing some weight off the front, you're removing weight off the back too for an all-around lighter package on your head. I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, that's not that big of a deal, but try spending a couple hours under NV with a helmet on, and you will see that few ounces actually makes a big difference. This is the weight of the other one. I know it's over a pound. Yeah, 1.31 ounces, and neither one of these have a battery in it. That's going to add just a little bit more on each one. One drawback that I really don't like about the Wolf-14 as compared to a PVS-14 is that eye lens. Now, when you are mounting this on your head and you're trying to line this up with your eye to see through it correctly, this is a little bit more difficult to do. Also, this is not for you, but for me, but trying to film that little thing was actually really difficult. I had a hard time getting a camera mount to capture images under it, but this is better, and this is my preferred lens, the one on the PVS-14. All right, we're going to flip around to the front of these now. One other thing I want to mention that the PVS-14 has that the Wolf-14 does not have is a manual gain control knob. This you can turn on the PVS-14 and it sort of adjusts the brightness up and down. So when you're in a really bright environment, you can kind of turn that gain controller down. And when you're in a really dark environment, you can turn it up. One place that I find where I would use the manual gain control is if you're running your IR light. I will pretty much, when I'm using the PVS-14, turn the gain the whole way down and kick the IR light on. If I'm in a building or something or in a really, really dark area, the IR light can be kind of blinding. So that is where you would use that. One cool thing about the Wolf is it can take two different batteries. You can put a CR123A in it, like this, and it fits flush and goes in. Or this unit comes with an adapter. And if you screw the adapter onto this, you can put a AA battery in it. So you can use two different types of batteries in this unit, which is actually really cool. And that's the way that would go on. And that's the way the unit looks with the AA adapter. This thing's got a couple different little modes to it here. This is off, and then there's on, and then there's IR. So kind of just like your PVS-14, you can turn it on or IR. And you would pull to to get the IR to stay on. This is just a switch, and it also has an auto feature, which I don't really care for. I don't care that they put it on there, but if you're running night vision, I just want to know whether it's on or not. And the auto feature, basically, anytime this thing starts to struggle even a little bit with a little bit of low light, it just kicks that IR light on. So this unit will auto shut on and off, and that has to do with the mount. And I'm going to see if I can get this on camera, but there is a little magnetic detent in here. And when you tilt it, I think what it does is it connects and disconnects the circuit. So when you flip this thing up out of the way on your helmet, it actually shuts off. Which brings me to my next point. These mounts are proprietary. They come in the box and they're part of this, but they are the mounts only for the Wolf-14. I have found even connecting this horn mount into other PVS-14 mounts, like ones you can buy on Amazon, I found that they don't fit right and they're loose. And in fact, this does not connect into a skull crusher for a PVS-14. So if you buy one of those cheap skull crushers off Amazon or whatever, or buy it from AGM or whoever, this will not fit into that. That is extremely frustrating. I have no idea why they did that, but that is the proprietary mounting system. Even though it looks like everything else, it is not. But with that being said, the mount is of good quality. And you can see I'm squeezing it pretty good here. It is a very durable, tough plastic. It flips, it's adjustable in and out, and everything you'd want to do to get that thing right over your eye. And it is not bad. It's just proprietary. Just for the heck of it, let's go ahead and just clip this on. I want to show this too. This mount is in a Team Wendy helmet, and we have a little bit of play with it. It's not bad. It doesn't affect anything. My PVS-14 mount also has a little bit of play. Maybe not as much as this, but it serves well. It works good. And I have absolutely no issues mounting this up over my eye and getting a view through it. One other thing I just want to mention while we're at this review is on my PVS-14s, I always like to put this diaphragm mount where you can open and close the lens. And this does fit into the Wolf-14. I try not to open the caps too much in the daylight, but for the video, I'm going to show that screws right on. And you can put a lens system on your Wolf as well. So the front of this lens is really the same as a PVS-14. Okay, let's go ahead and do a performance review between the both of these. And we're going to do some footage of them both in the same environments and see how both of them look. Okay, so here we are. We're doing some real-world performance testing. You're going to see, I'm going to open up the aperture or whatever on that one there, the green one, the PVS-14, and it's going to clear up. This is on a pretty cloudy night with both of them. I'm having a little harder time getting the camera over the eyepiece on the Wolf-14 just because it's smaller. There's the clouds on the left screen there. And if I was standing out in this field with no night vision, I would not be able to make out that tree line at all. It was very, very dark, and both units performed really well. Here's some deer in each one, sort of the same deer. On the one, because they were filmed at sort of different times, but in the same night, those deer were just as visible on both units. This is what I call a struggle test here. This is a very, very dark room in my house. It's my laundry room. It's in the basement, so no light gets in here, other than those little LEDs on the sump pump you'll see. But you wait until you see the spec sheets on both of these, because they perform so similar, but have very, very different spec sheets. Once they get into super, super low light, they just get grainy like that, and they both do that. And then here I'm going to kick on the IR in a really dark room. If you were standing in this room, you would not be able to see your hands in front of your face. That's how dark this room is. And it really goes to show you how well these really perform. Okay, so here is the spec sheet. And what we're looking at is the center resolution, signal to noise ratio, and FOM, figure of merit. You're going to see that the PVS-14 top left, kicks the Wolf's butt as far as spec sheets go. So look at the FOM on the Wolf-14. It is at 720. That is a terrible number as far as what people are going to tell you on the internet. And I think it's bad too. And when I first got this unit, I actually wanted to return it. I didn't even want to even turn it on. But I did. I went out and used it, and I was very, very surprised that it performed almost the same as my PVS-14. So that was really interesting, and this kind of goes to show you these spec sheets on these tubes and everything, they don't always tell you the whole story. And I'll admit, I'm not going to argue with you, this is a bad spec sheet. 720 FOM, center resolution 45, and the signal noise ratio is 16. I mean, just take a look at an actual PVS-14 and the tube performance on it comparatively. So super interesting. And it was something that I wasn't expecting. I was expecting this thing really not to work at all, but it did. So despite the spec sheet, I actually think it works pretty good. I have no incentive to lie to you. This is just my opinion. Can I see a little bit more clearly with that PVS-14? Yes, but it is a very, very small difference between the clarity on both of them. That is really why I wanted to do that spec sheet last. I wanted to show you the difference first, and then you could see the spec sheet. So the pros and the cons. The pros is it's a very affordable all-in-one package. You get the mount and everything. The only thing you need to buy is a helmet. It is affordable, real analog night vision. It's not digital. I don't really like digital, and until I get something that changes my mind, analog is the way to go, and this is a real analog unit. It's lightweight. It's lighter than a PVS-14, as mentioned before. I like that lighter weight when I'm have it around on my head, walking around at night. It is a little bit nicer than having the PVS-14 on your head. The cons. The Wolf-14 uses lower spec tubes than anything they seem to be putting in their PVS-14s. The mounts are proprietary. I really don't like that. I wish they could find a way to just make this unit use the same mounts, but again, the problem with that is then they would just be making a PVS-14. So the mounts are proprietary. That smaller eyepiece is my biggest complaint with the Wolf-14. I wish they would use larger lenses. Again, but if they did, they're kind of just going back and just making a PVS-14. Would I buy a Wolf-14 over a PVS-14? Yes and no. I think in some cases it would really be a contender if you're looking for a budget NV device, especially when everything but the helmet comes in that box. A lower spec PVS-14 like this would pretty much have the same performance, and you still need to go buy a mount for it. Another mount's going to run you 150-ish bucks, and if you get a real one, I mean, they could be $500 or $600. If you have an extra $500 to $700 for a real PVS-14, I would go that route. I think it would be a better way to go. The PVS-14 is a better performing unit, and if your budget allows for it, the sky is the limit with PVS-14s. You can get any spec tube put into that. As far as people saying you can find a PVS-14 on eBay, like a used one or something, the problem with this is you don't know how many hours are on that tube, and a lot of times when you look at them, it's some wretched tube that has burn marks in it and everything. And at that point, I would just rather get a Wolf-14. And choosing between the two of those, if I had to get a used tube with I don't know how many hours on it with burn marks in it, or I could afford a brand new Wolf-14, I would actually go with the Wolf-14. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.